The conference room was completely silent, interrupted only by the sound of Kang Ji-woo's expensive shoes echoing against the marble floor as he walked across the space. The employees' eyes were fixed on him, a mix of admiration and fear. Ji-woo was known for being a flawless leader, but his cold demeanor made even the most experienced staff tremble. He was a man who had built his empire through discipline and calculated decisions, guided by one unbreakable rule: never let emotions interfere with business or life. On the other side of the city, Yoon Hari was rushing through busy streets, balancing trays of coffee in one hand and her nearly torn bag in the other. She worked as a barista at a small family-owned cafe. The place was cozy but financially struggling, and Hari did everything she could to help her mother and younger sister, Yoon Soo-ah, who dreamed of studying fashion in Paris. Hari was an ordinary girl, but her positive energy made her stand out. She believed that even in hard times, joy could be found in small things. Fate brought them together unexpectedly during a corporate event for LK Group, Jiwoo's largest company. Hari had been hired to serve drinks at the event, and although she felt intimidated by the luxurious environment, she carried out her job with a sincere smile. While balancing a tray of glasses, someone bumped into her, and in a split second, hot coffee flew directly onto Jiwoo's pristine white shirt. An awkward silence filled the room. Everyone held their breath, waiting for the CEO's reaction, as he was notorious for his impatience. Hari, though scared, took a deep breath and faced Jiwoo. "I'm sorry, it was an accident. I can clean this up," she said, trying to reach for a napkin, but he raised his hand to stop her. "That won't be necessary," he said coldly, his eyes scanning her as if she were an intruder. His intense gaze made Hari's heart race, but not in a good way. She felt a chill and, even so, refused to back down. "I said it was an accident. No need to look at me like I'm some sort of criminal." Her abrupt response surprised Jiwoo. Nobody ever spoke to him like that. In the following days, Jiwoo couldn't stop thinking about that girl. There was something about the way she faced his coldness that intrigued him, though he didn't want to admit it. He tried to ignore the thought, but ended up asking his assistant to find out who she was. "Just to ensure she won't cause more trouble at future events," he justified. Meanwhile, Hari tried to forget the incident. She had more important things to worry about. Her mother was pressuring her to meet the son of a wealthy friend in a bid to improve the family's financial situation. Hari refused every time, but she knew the pressure would only increase. A few days later, Jiwoo appeared at the cafe where Hari worked. He claimed he was just passing by, but the truth was he wanted to see if his curiosity about her was justified or merely a distraction. Hari was shocked to see him there and tried to ignore him, but Jiwoo made a point of approaching and placing an order. "A black coffee, no sugar," he said, looking directly at her. Hari stifled a quiet scoff and prepared the order, handing him the cup with a falsely polite smile. "Here you go, sir. I hope it meets your high standards." Jiwoo didn't reply, but the corner of his mouth curved almost imperceptibly. That evening, while Jiwoo reviewed contracts in his office, he wondered why he felt so intrigued by someone so different from him. Hari, on the other hand, told her sister about the unusual customer, without revealing who he really was. He seemed so arrogant, but in a strange way, he didn't seem that bad, she confessed, not understanding why she was thinking about him so much. The contrast between their lives became even more evident when Jiwoo was summoned to a dinner with his mother, the cold and controlling Kang Soo-jin. During the meal, she began discussing plans for Jiwoo to marry Seo Min-ah, a socialite with whom he had broken up years earlier. "Min-ah is still the perfect choice for you. Don't do anything foolish like resisting this," Soo-jin said. Jiwoo remained calm, but inside he felt suffocated. Meanwhile, Hari arrived home to find her mother arguing with a man who was threatening to take over the cafe due to unpaid debts. "I'll figure this out, Mom," Hari said, trying to hold back tears. She knew she needed to find more money quickly to save the business and prevent the family from losing everything. In the days that followed, fate continued to intertwine Jiwoo and Hari's lives. He appeared at the cafe again, this time with no excuses. "I need more of your coffee," he said, as if that justified his presence. Hari looked at him suspiciously but didn't argue. The encounter took an unexpected turn when Jiwoo inadvertently witnessed a customer treating Hari rudely. Before she could respond, Jiwoo intervened, his authoritative tone leaving the man speechless. If you don't know how to treat people, perhaps you should find another place to get coffee. Hari was surprised, but didn't have time to thank him. As Jiwoo left, he felt confused about why he had defended her. Hari, on the other hand, began to question if he was truly the cold and calculated man he appeared to be. Days passed, and Hari tried to focus on the cafe's problems, but Jiwoo's unexpected visits were becoming impossible to ignore. No matter how much she convinced herself he was just another customer, his presence always brought a sense of unease. Jiwoo, too, was conflicted. He had never allowed anyone to distract him from work, but there was something about Hari that made him let his guard down. An unusual opportunity arose when Jiwoo decided to launch a new corporate social responsibility project at LK Group, aimed at supporting small business owners. For reasons he couldn't even explain to himself, he suggested Hari as one of the consultants for the project, representing the perspective of family-run businesses. When the invitation reached her, Hari was skeptical. "Why would the CEO of such a big company want my help?" she asked as she handed the form back to Jiwoo during yet another of his visits. He, in his typically serious tone, replied, "You understand the practical side of running a business. That's something you don't learn in luxurious offices." Despite her hesitation, Hari accepted. The opportunity might be a solution to save the cafe. The work began with frequent meetings between Hari and Jiwoo, each more tense than the last. He was meticulous, rigid, and always demanded the best from those working with him. Hari, on the other hand, brought fresh practical ideas, but often clashed with Jiwoo's resistance. During one presentation, he interrupted her explanation with a sharp comment. "Do you really think simplistic ideas like these work in the real market?" Undeterred, Hari shot back, "Maybe you should step out of your perfect office and see how normal people live." Her boldness caused a stunned silence in the room, but instead of irritated, Jiwoo looked intrigued. He realized she wasn't afraid to challenge him, something rare in his corporate world. Over time, unexpected moments of closeness began to occur. One rainy afternoon, Jiwoo offered Hari a ride when he saw her waiting for a bus in the downpour. During the drive, the silence in the car was almost palpable until Hari, with her usual bluntness, said, "Are you always this serious? Don't you get tired of being so perfect all the time?" Jiwoo, caught off guard, let out a short, genuine laugh, the first in a long time. These small moments of relaxation began to break the barriers between them, but Jiwoo continued to resist his feelings. He knew he was growing closer to Hari, and that scared him. His mother, Kang Soo-jin, had already made it clear she expected him to accept the engagement with Seo Min-ah. She even went as far as organizing a dinner with Min-ah and Jiwoo, hoping to rekindle their relationship. Meanwhile, Hari faced her own dilemmas. The cafe was on the brink of closure, and her mother was insisting she consider the marriage proposal from the son of a wealthy friend. "This could solve all our problems," her mother said, while Hari tried to explain that she couldn't just marry for money. Both were trapped in situations that seemed inescapable. On a particularly exhausting day, Jiwoo finally confided in Hari something he had never told anyone. They were alone in the office, reviewing project documents, when he suddenly asked, "Have you ever been afraid to get close to someone?" Hari, surprised by the question, replied, "I think everyone is, but what's life without it?" Jiwoo averted his gaze as if struggling with his words. "I've lost people who were important to me. I don't want to go through that again." He shared how his father had betrayed the family, leaving Jiwoo and his mother exposed to a public scandal that almost destroyed their reputation. Since then, he had decided it was safer to keep everyone at arm's length. In turn, Hari also began to open up. She told him about her father, who had abandoned the family when she was young, leaving her mother to care for both daughters alone. That experience shaped her determination to protect those she loved, but also made her fear trusting others. The connection between them seemed to grow, but Jiwoo continued to resist. During an LK Group gala, he made a mistake that nearly destroyed what they had built. Hari had been invited as part of the project, but Jiwoo, worried about potential rumors surrounding their closeness, ignored her the entire night. Worse, when a group of shareholders treated her condescendingly, he didn't intervene, leaving her humiliated. Hari left the gala hurt and determined to distance herself from Jiwoo. "I don't know what I was expecting from someone like him," she murmured to herself as she walked down the dark street. Jiwoo, watching her leave, felt a tightness in his chest he couldn't explain but didn't follow her. He convinced himself that keeping his distance was the right thing to do. In the days that followed, Ji-woo tried to focus on work, but Hari's absence disturbed him more than he imagined. Hari, for her part, decided to concentrate on saving the cafe and protecting her sister from the family's problems. Even so, neither could forget the moments they had shared. Ji-woo, on the other hand, felt increasingly lost. Hari's silence was deafening. He had avoided closeness for so long that now he didn't know how to handle her absence. Instead of confronting his feelings, he buried himself even deeper in work. His distant and irritable behavior began to affect LK Group employees, especially his assistant, Choi Sung-ho, who finally gathered the courage to confront him. "Excuse me, sir, but something is clearly wrong," Sung-ho said, closing the folder Ji-woo pretended to review. "Ever since that woman left your life, you haven't been the same. Maybe it's time to think about what really matters." Ji-woo, caught off guard, said nothing. No one had ever spoken to him so directly, but Sung-ho's words lingered in his mind. As Ji-woo wrestled with his feelings, his mother, Kang Soo-jin, intensified the pressure for him to announce his engagement to Seo Min-ah. During a dinner, Soo-jin made it clear that the family's future depended on his alliance with Min-ah. Ji-woo, tired of living under his mother's expectations, finally exploded. "I've sacrificed everything for the company and for you. I won't sacrifice my happiness too." Soo-jin was shocked, but didn't back down. The next morning, she made her final move. Min-ah showed up at Ji-woo's office, claiming she knew something that could ruin LK Group if revealed. She had information about a fraud involving Ji-woo's father that could destroy the company's reputation. Meanwhile, Hari faced another painful revelation. During a visit to the bank, she discovered that the company that had purchased the cafe's debt was a subsidiary of LK Group. Feeling betrayed, she went to the company's building to confront Ji-woo. When she arrived, she saw Min-ah leaving his office with a confident smile. That sight deeply shook her, and she decided to leave without saying a word. Ji-woo, however, finally realized he had to act before it was too late. He tried to contact Hari, but she ignored all his calls and messages. Desperate, he went to the cafe and found Hari working, her face tired and her eyes visibly sad. "You're avoiding me," he said bluntly, though there was an unusual vulnerability in his voice. Hari, surprised by his presence, tried to keep her composure. "I don't have time for games, Ji-woo. I have more important things to deal with than the whims of a CEO." Ji-woo, however, didn't give up. He followed her to the back of the cafe where he finally said what he had been holding back for so long. "I was a fool. I've spent my whole life running from how I feel because I thought it was weakness. But you showed me the real weakness is being afraid of happiness. I don't want to lose you." Hari, emotional, tried to resist. "And what does that change? You're from a completely different world than mine. How could we work together?" Ji-woo took her hands, his gaze more sincere than ever. "I don't know, but I'm willing to try. I'd do anything for you." Before Hari could respond, a crisis erupted. Min-ah leaked the information about Ji-woo's father's fraud to the press, plunging LK Group into a scandal. The shareholders demanded Ji-woo resign as CEO to protect the company's image. Kang Soo-jin, seeing her position crumble, blamed Ji-woo and insisted he fix everything by accepting the engagement with Min-ah to calm the situation. But Ji-woo did the exact opposite. He held a press conference and revealed the entire truth about his father's mistakes, taking full responsibility and announcing his resignation as CEO. "Integrity is more important than holding a position of power," he declared, shocking his mother and the shareholders. After the event, Ji-woo went to Hari. "I did what I needed to do to be honest with myself. Now there's only one thing left: to be honest with you." Hari, seeing the sacrifice he had made, finally understood how much he was willing to change. Over time, Ji-woo began rebuilding his life outside his mother's shadow, while Hari managed to save the cafe with the help of a new investor who believed in its potential. Despite the challenges, they found a balance. In a touching final scene, Ji-woo and Hari sit side by side in a small cafe, laughing and planning their future together. He holds her hand and says, "You broke all my rules, and I'm forever grateful for that.